More than 17,000 new businesses registered in Jamaica last year. So if you're one of them, congratulations, hooray! But have you actually done a business plan for your business? I'm Kalila Reynolds, and it's time for another episode of Money Moves JA, brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service, giving you the tools to grow your business. Today, we're walking through the steps of creating a business plan with business development consultant Dr. Sheldon Campbell. Hi, Dr. Campbell, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Or Sheldon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we're talking about business planning today, and you are an entrepreneur yourself, so you know about this process. First of all, tell us, what is a business plan?
Right, so a business plan is just a document in which you would tell persons about your business. You know, it's one way in which an entrepreneur can get funding. The document pretty much tells you how serious you are about your business, because a lot of times, well, I should tell you, I used to actually be a banker, and persons would come into the bank and they would want a loan. And I realized that a lot of times when I started to ask questions, they really didn't know much about their company. Or sometimes they knew, but they had never gone to some place to formally put a document together. So a business plan really helps you, because it asks the kind of question which a banker, if they're going to give you some money, they're going to like, okay, we want to know the kind of leadership team, the kind of business structure, how you think about marketing, how you think about, is your financials in order? I mean, it asks all the relevant questions. So it's an excellent document. There are many different documents that you can use. But I find that a lot of financial institutions, even investors, they want a business plan because they feel like it is robust enough to show that you're serious, you mean business. So,
if you've already been in operation for a few years, do you still need a business plan?
Yes, because I mean, you may have done a business plan early on, and as the business changes, as you get into different aspects of the business. Again, it shows that you're thinking through this. When you just start the business, a lot of times you don't really know everything that is entailed. You're kind of guessing, but once a couple years in, you kind of know your markets and things like that. But you certainly suppose you want additional funding. There's just so many things why you need a business plan. So and as I said, things change. So.
All right, so let's talk about what the business plan entails. Is there a specific structure that it should follow? Okay,
well, I would say a business plan generally has about 4 components. The beginning of the business plan would have the executive summary, and then you would have the description of the business. That would be the second major category. The third would be marketing. And then the fourth would be like your appendix. No, the appendix could be like all of your financials, things like that. You'd throw that in any kind of arrangements that you have that you want to be documented. Even things like your personal finances and things like that. Because at the end of the day, as I said, an investor will want to know, a bank will want to know, like, what if all your estate is in order, kind of thing. So.
All right, so you kind of breeze through the 4 categories. So
right.
let's break them down one by one.
Okay.
So the first part,
executive summary. So in your executive summary, it's a very high level kind of look at the business. Generally, you would talk about things that you're really strong in. So things like your leadership team. You may want to say, well, we have over 50 years of cumulative experience in something, that kind of thing. In terms of, then you tend to want to put some nice graphic with some kind of highlights of how you're doing financially. Or even if you're not in operation, what you would want to do is kind of show your projections, like your maybe net profit for the next 3 years or something like that. In that same section for the executive summary, some persons would include things like your keys to success, KPIs, things like that. So that would be the first section.
Okay.
In the second section of the description of the business, again, is description of the business. So when was the business incorporated? What is the where's your location? What are times that you're open? Management is very important. So things like who is on your management team, things like that. Because at the end of the day, if financial institution or an investor looks and see a very strong management team, then they would want to give you a loan if you need it, or grant funding or whatever. So that would be description of business, and then marketing.
Yes, what goes on the marketing?
Oh my gosh.
Is it everything you have done or everything you plan to do, or both?
So in the marketing section, some persons would start with some of the things in the past. So for instance, if you have done market research, your market analysis, things like that. But even in that, you can speak about things for the future. So to kind of answer your question. So I know in the States, they use certain metrics to kind of let you understand like how big the market is. I don't know if you guys are aware, but like in the States, you would talk about TAM, which is your total available market, and your SAM, which is your serviceable available market, and your SOM, which is your serviceable obtainable market. Well, so because sometimes persons will, let's give an example. Say you're going to sell, I don't know, say cars, and you talk about the fact that the car industry is $1 trillion industry, and I'm hoping to corner the market. No one would take you seriously because you're talking about the TAM, which is the total available market. However, if you really limit it to say in Jamaica, and you talk about just your little area, you'll be talking more about the SOM, your serviceable obtainable market. What really is your market? As maybe you're a little car dealer guy, and that kind of stuff. So one of the things investors are looking for is something that's credible, because we love to throw big numbers, and we're hoping that when you throw these big numbers, you're going to impress the investor, and a lot of times it doesn't, because they don't think you're credible. So if you've really done your market analysis and it's really good, an investor is going to look and say, listen, you're conservative, I like that, I do believe what you're saying makes sense. Okay,
so it's market analysis, because you had said marketing before. You confused me with
that.
I was thinking about running ads and that type of thing.
Right. So under the marketing, right, you would have you have your market analysis. No, certainly for marketing, again, you can talk about your niche. So you want to look on things like, based on my niche, what makes sense here? Am I going to do Facebook ads to persons of a certain age if they're not really the demographic that I'm serving? Things like that. So in terms of your marketing strategy, in terms of Facebook ads, whether it's TV ads, whatever, all of that is going to be dependent on your demographics. Marketing also will talk about the kind of funding that you would want to put towards marketing. Again, TV ads tend to be more expensive, things like that. Nowadays, a lot of people are going into digital marketing and social media stuff because, it tends to be cheaper. You can do a $50 US ad or something. So, yeah, right. So, again, marketing, market size, all of that kind of stuff, demographics, niche, and then I'll just skip to the appendix, which is, again, what I've found, and I don't know, you could maybe chime in on this. The more serious investor and the person who have been into this kind of analysis and understanding startups and whatever stage you are as a business, a lot of times they go to the financials first, even though I know a lot of people would read it from front to back.
Right. First thing they want to see is the numbers.
The numbers, wonderful. So I think
are you viable?
Exactly. So if you are someone and your P&L, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, you have cash flow projections, things like that, that would generally be good for an investor, because they're like, all right, you have done the work. So those are the kind of things, and I did mention some of the other things like your personal finances and stuff like your cap table, your capitalization table, things like that. So you can throw a lot of that kind of stuff in the appendix. They can look on that, share allocation, all of that kind of stuff you can throw in there.
So if you, all right, so let's say, and you use the example a lot of pitching to an investor or a bank, you want to get a loan. What if I don't need any of that? Should I still do a business plan? How is it beneficial?
Right. So what I've realized is when you're doing a business plan, it requires you to answer questions that sometimes, even when you're running a business and you think, I've covered all of my bases, it's not until you've sat down and you've done a business plan you realize, no, I've not thought through strategy, I've not thought through marketing, I've not. Do I even know what's happening 3 years from now in terms of my? So even as I've talked about the different categories, is my management team strong enough? What happens? Am I thinking about key man risk? Or there's just so many things that it requires. If you're doing a good business plan. No, I know some persons today they're kind of moving away from a business plan. I'm sure lean canvas, which is a one page.
Right, I've heard of that.
Of course, which is like just a one pager, and I mean you can really do a lot in a lean canvas. I think it's about 9 different sections, and you can give a very good high level view of what's happening. But when you really go into the details, you want a business, because for instance, in a business plan, I would put in things like a SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weakness, your opportunities.
Which section does that go in?
And that would fall into the same market area. Even though I say marketing, a lot of times in the business plan, you have marketing and then the market in that same area. So, and so your SWOT analysis would fall into that. No, persons generally, if you don't have a SWOT analysis, they're like, do you even know your industry? Because the opportunities and threats tend to be more for the industry, and the strengths and weaknesses is for the company. And you can even go deeper. You can go into a pestle, as people would say, your political and your economic and social, and your technology, or your protest forces. And there's so many things you can add. But the point is, people know when you have spent time, and if you really mean business. And I think,
how long should this business plan generally be?
Oh my gosh, I knew this is always a question. So I think if you're doing a good business plan, and it could be that I tend to like to put in more information, but for me, what I found is the business plans that I put together, even if I exclude the appendix with all of the financial stuff, generally I'd probably have about 15 pages. So in the first 3 sections, I'd have about 15 pages.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to put in.
Yes.
Yeah, you really have to think about your business and the future of it to write 15 pages about it.
Right. But then, as I said, a lot of persons are kind of moving to like one pager, and people watch Shark Tank and see someone pitching and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. A lot of times people don't recognize that. So, yeah. So.
Well, you mentioned pitching, and we're going to be talking about that on the next episode. So thank you very much, Sheldon.
Okay.
And we talk again soon.
Thank you.
Here's a recap of Dr. Campbell's key points. A business plan is a written document that describes in detail how a business defines its objectives and plans to go about achieving its goals. The 4 general components are the executive summary, description of the business, market analysis, and appendix. A good business plan is usually around 15 pages. That's it for this episode of Money Moves JA, brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service, giving you the tools to grow your business. Check out their website, eximbankja.com, and check out my website, KalilaReynolds.com, for a summary of this episode. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Until next time.